Cool. Hi, so I'm Linda from Mask Network. This is Web3 Morning Brew. We kind of host this space weekly, sometimes bi-weekly, to talk about what's going on in Web3. And joining me as a co-host today is Shirley from Web 3.0 Africa, Teddy from sorry, I can't say it.
Duality.
Duality, and then Zdeadex from Ledger.
Hey there.
So, hey, thank you guys for joining. I was hoping we can go around and do introductions. We'll start with you, Shirley, and then Teddy, and then Zdeadex.
Thank you, Linda. So hello, everyone. My name is Shirley and I'm the founder of Web 3.0 Africa, effectively building community and educating people in the Web3 space, covering all things blockchain and how that can be utilized to create economic opportunity for young Africans everywhere. So thank you for having me. Over to you, Linda.
Awesome, thanks. Teddy?
Hi, everybody. My name is Teddy. I work as a senior engineer at Duality as of a couple weeks ago. I got my start in Web3 at Stakefish, where I was working for a couple years as a protocol specialist and getting a feel for the validator space. And yeah, Duality is a DEX, and we're launching in Q1 of 2023.
Cool. I think I'm the last one, so I'm gonna take this one. My name is Adrian. I work at Ledger since 5 years. If you already don't know, Ledger is like the most known hardware security company, providing you a device that make you able to review your transaction and be able to clear sign everything. We also have a software wallet that you can only use with your Ledger to manage and buy assets from every blockchain. And we also have like a enterprise grade solution, which is the Ledger Enterprise solution, using the Ledger Vault, so you can manage your governance and your fund at the enterprise level. And my job here is a blockchain developer advocate, so it's mostly developer relation. It's more known as this. So yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you guys for that introduction. So this week, on this Twitter space specifically, we're it's called This Week in Web3. So we're just kind of going to chat about what's currently going on in this space. I know, we've been dropped a lot of bombshells these past this this past this past month. With FTX going bankrupt, BlockFi going bankrupt, talks about DCG probably going bankrupt. So I just kind of wanted to get the sense of how everyone is feeling about Web3 currently.
Can I take this? I feel
Yeah,
good
of course.
actually.
Yeah, of course.
No, no, no. It's hard to say like this. I would say like good because in fact, for the market, yeah, it's pretty brutal. I know like for the retail, even like for the investors, at any level, it's really brutal what did happen like in the last few weeks. So this is like kind of a purge, and everyone is affected. Not everyone, but a lot of people are. But I guess it's a good thing because it starts again to move people on what are we really here for. We are here to innovate. We are here to build stuff that will change economical or political point of view, and we are trying to raise awareness and security around like what could be the future of our lives actually. So it's not something that can scale really fast. And sometimes having a purge of what have been built on I would say not stable things. It's actually great to have them removed so we can just like start from the basics and just focus on what's really important. And what's really important actually is your security, the security of the users, and the self-custody. So it's great. People start to realize again and gain faith about the self-custody. So people are more responsible and say, okay, this is great. We have a lot of things like CEX where we can just like trade and all this stuff. But then you realize that you don't own your private key. And then you realize that sometimes in this kind of case, that can happen. We don't know, but everyone was pretty like I would say safe, thinking about having assets on FTX, for example. But you don't know. Yes, there was like a lot of events, like even before with Celsius, with Ace, Ace 16Z, or all this kind of like shady stuff. And it's great because people, now realize like the importance of it and re-centralize, I would say, in the right way. Where we are going and what we need to build for people.
I just really wanted to say that I think over the last 3 weeks, or perhaps even before that, and we just keep getting reminders every few months, don't we? It's been a real good advert for Ledger and self-custody and going bankless. That being said, I mean, I think I do agree with you about shaking certain parties out, especially the bad actors. But do you not feel there's a real risk of contagion, especially regarding how large and how involved entities such as DCG is, and even FTX? Do you not think that that risk of contagion could really damage the industry?
Oh yeah, for sure. This is why I say like this is good, but actually it's very brutal and bad at the same time. It only depends like on what's the point of view of people. Yeah, for sure, we put money on it, so it's important for everyone. And when we have lost on it, it impacts like everyone. So yeah, this is something, but we all know like I would say like the risk behind it. It's a new industry, even if it's not new. Generally, it's new because it's just reflect it like to the start of internet, and actually we are like kind of the same way as like the 20s start of internet when there was like the big boom, everything explode. There was like newcomers try to just like grab money like and maybe like FTX did. We could compare I would say like to this, and then like everything crashed, and yeah, it was like too much euphoria at the same time, and then just like okay, we're gonna build. We know like this is like the good way to go to increase awareness and all the stuff, but we need actually maybe like more secure stuff, more time to build and be sure about it. So yeah, it's brutal. I agree, but we generally need it because if we just like would run the same way with the FTX, for example, running all the other that didn't that wasn't like exposed to the public, like let's say like a Luna with the UST and all the stuff this year. So, for example, if they didn't explode at this time, it would have been like even worse because everyone was entering on it. So it was like billions already, could have been trillion or more. So yeah, it would have been like even brutal. So yeah, not much to say, I guess.
Yeah, I would just add to that there's this sort of meta story around the FTX collapse, which is the coverage of FTX, which I found to be the most, um, I guess, traumatizing of the whole experience, given that I didn't have any money with FTX. Um, I just feel like there was something we learned in the process of FTX imploding, and then just watching how a lot of mainstream media covered that. That was pretty disheartening and pretty surprising. Like something I definitely didn't see coming, even though, we all anticipated this might be a tough bear market. Yeah, I think it took me a couple of days to process that, there wasn't going to be a manhunt after SBF from a legal perspective, the way that there was over, Bernie Madoff or things like Enron. And I'm still processing exactly what that means, but my best theory right now is that, when things happen in crypto, they often can sort of serve as a narrative for people all over, the news media with different agendas who aren't necessarily looking out for the best in crypto. And so I think that's something that crypto has to reckon with, to figure out, like, how do we get our message out there? Because right now the message around FTX is actually, still a little weak. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask, because I'm still processing the fact that SBF is still running around and he hasn't been apprehended yet. Do you guys believe in all these conspiracy theories that are going around surrounding FTX and SBF being some kind of government plan? Because he's still having talks. I think he has one today with New York Times, and I don't understand why, serious action isn't being taken.
Oh, well, yeah, there was like a lot of news sorting out, even like today and yesterday, just saying, okay, so yeah, actually Sam just corrupted the whole people, like at the government level and political level, and just like by giving like black money to them. Uh, so yeah, actually everything is corrupt, and we already know it like since the beginning with the relation that they did have with the the SEC. So actually, it's pretty hard to know like what's really happening behind, even like what's actually saying by the media. We cannot even like say like, okay, this is the truth. We're right. This guy is just a fraudulent guy and just like run out with the money. Yes, that's true. But we don't know like really much more, I guess, from it. We just like follow the media, and the media actually, what does it say? It's pretty much literally that he corrupted, and we don't even know like if it's true. Maybe it's just like them saying like, okay, if you give us like this amount of money, then we won't say anything, and we're gonna promote like ethics, and you're gonna have like all the regulation stuff that you want. So it's pretty hard. We don't even know like if it's some fault or just like the power of the government that could maybe just put a pressure on him to give like money from what he did have, to just like, okay, we're not gonna say anything, and just like you can go with that. So yeah, actually I would say the best is just to say that, okay, the media just release this as this, and we're gonna wait for more. There will be more for sure. We're just like at the beginning of the story, I guess. So until we have more information, I guess what we can say is literally what they did was just like leveraging everything with the FTX token. Literally, the fund wasn't on the account, and this is what mostly people should care when you put like money like on any CX, because actually if you don't know what they are doing with your money, well, actually, where is the money? So the fact is, yeah, they were leveraging with it, so you pretty much lost the money.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, so since this happened, just sort of visited a number of Twitter spaces, and I keep hearing, "Oh, we need regulation. We need regulation." I think to some extent there's enough existing precedent in terms of law, rules, custom, just basic stuff that should govern how people within a certain industry operate. I think customer accounts is pretty basic, and it's not just in financial services, it's also in real estate to some extent. So is it a case of, do we need regulation, and regulation where? Because if you look at the gifts that he's made to political parties, for me, I think that's for them to look at, the gifts, their policy there. I don't think that's a crypto thing. I think it's absolutely shocking that they're accepting these gifts. Clearly, it looks a lot like bribery to me. And everyone's looking at crypto, but I think it's not a crypto issue. They accepted the gifts. There's a guy, I forgot his name. He apparently returned 1 million that he thought didn't quite pass the sniff test from FTX. So should we really be looking at crypto? I don't think this is a crypto thing. I think this is a lack of governance. It's a lack of controls. It's a lack of just managing your risk in terms of money laundering, so many things, so many levels. And I just don't think it's a crypto thing. I think the narrative is wrong. So when people talk about, is he being used to bring down the crypto market, I do wonder, because I think it's a wider systemic issue than one that is limited to crypto. That's just my thinking.
Yeah, he was really savvy about making sure that American customers didn't lose any money. And then obviously there's some corruption going on between him and the government of the Bahamas. So that leaves the EU to go after him with some true grievance, and we haven't heard anything about that so far. But I guess circle back to the question of whether he might be a plant. I think it's unlikely that he's like an explicit plant, but his parents are both law professors at Stanford with close ties to the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party hasn't been terribly friendly to crypto from the beginning. And you listen to the way Sam talks about, or he talked about FTX, he put it all in terms of effective altruism. The guy didn't really seem to be very ideologically motivated within the crypto space. And so to me, it kind of makes sense that he would take on potentially an irresponsible amount of risk if he was never really motivated by success within, success for crypto as a whole from the beginning. And yeah, we saw that he was working on regulation before this whole thing happened, where he was going to try to entrench some kind of monopoly for like a regulated monopoly for FTX. And it would sort of be to the benefit of him, but to the, it would cost the rest of the crypto space. And so, yeah, I think we've seen on like many different dimensions evidence to suggest that this guy really wasn't motivated by the same things that a lot of other people in crypto were motivated by, and that it could be, he could have some positive externalities to aligning closer with the government than with crypto. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not too unhappy with the current situation, given that he probably still has millions, and he's sort of like given the Democratic Party a lot of reasons to go after crypto.
Thank you. I just want to give a quick announcement. We are giving prizes on this Twitter space. We're giving 3 people $30 of mask token equivalent. All you have to do is follow Web3SocialClub. You can either come up here and ask a question or comment it down below. And also we're adding a West token on the Binance Smart Chain as proof of attendance. Sorry, 30
Very
mask
nice.
30 mask tokens, not $30 worth of mask token. Cool.
Linda, Sorry, I just wanted to come in really quickly. I saw Ephraim, you had your hand up and put it down. Did you still
Yeah,
want to go?
I want to come in here. I think looking at the whole FTX and then the crypto bear market, whatever is happening currently, I think it's more or less as Shirley has added to what she has said. I think the whole thing is becoming more or less a political fiasco, whereby Sam has involved a whole lot of politics into his affairs when he was more or less setting up the whole FTX exchange and everything. Currently, there's another major news brewing currently from Singapore, whereby I think we have to check it out. The government of Singapore, there was more or less a funding which goes to the Singaporean government as well. So he has more or less put in a whole lot of political fiasco with this saga, and then it's in the hands of the government. So I don't think he running here and there, he is going to run around the bush, and then at the end of the day, more or less goes into the hands of the government, and then deterrorize that more or less he has involved the government, and then it's going to put a risk or a threat to the political system as well. So I think what I need to ask currently is like, it's becoming more or less politics, or the politicians are getting involved, and then it's not going to help at the end of the day. That is what I need to add currently. Thank you.
I personally think this is a true test of the systems of governance that we have. We do need these tests once in a while. It's almost like when you're testing whether there's a breach in the wall of a tire, you kind of fill it up with air and you put it in the water and you see all the bubbles float. This is exactly how bad things are. I feel like some action needs to be seen to be taken. I mean, seen to be, even if it's, token, it doesn't matter. Something needs to happen, and it needs to happen quite fast, because if it doesn't, I think we're in really dangerous times. And I think it sends like a really clear message to any other bad actors there about how to operate, and it's extremely toxic. If the regulators are in this market to protect customers, which is one of the things that they are exist to do, customer protection, market stability, I don't see the actions happening, and not happening quick enough for what I would consider relatively mature systems, where they should have, if this happens, then that, right? It almost feels like we're sort of caveman times. It's like, oh, we've never seen this before, but we have. So I'm just wondering, and I feel, how are we giving consumers confidence when there's a lack of action? It's almost like you can act with impunity, and it's absolutely insane. So I think we're facing a real crisis of a wider test, a wider systemic test. And it, as Ephraim has just said, it's not just one country that's implicated. It's like it's spreading everywhere. It's actually quite worrying. And I feel something needs to be done.
Exactly. You are right. So at the end of the day, it's gonna more or less being politics coming into it, and then the regulators are gonna be, oh, after all, we have also got something from this FTX deal. So at the end of the day, there's nothing gonna be done to the guy. He's gonna be running around the bush, and yeah, we saw more or less 27, like 2014, 2013. We saw MTX, GOX, and a whole lot of things coming down. At the end of the day, people are being going to court back and forth, and then their cryptos are going to be released. I think yesterday I saw in the news whereby those who are in the FTX US, their funds are safe and blah blah blah. I don't know how true is that. We just have to go into it and look into how can you more or less do the judiciaries whereby the US FTX, their funds are safe, whereby the rest of the world, or the others, the other regions, the MENA region, the APAC regions, their funds are gone down the drain. So we have to look deeply into it. Thank you so much.
I think a lot of this also touches on this question of who do we appeal to when something like this happens. Like we're conditioned to appeal to national governments on various scales, and I think we're all learning that there's going to be a lot less protections of crypto from these organizations, where we typically have more more protection and mature legal systems. But there's this, I guess, alternative approach, which may end up being a lot more effective for crypto, which is to turn to chains and these democracies that are happening virtually to be the ones who we appeal to when things go pear-shaped. So like we can imagine if, let's say this had happened on chain, and let's assume it's not some DEX where everything is like very locked in, but there was a multi-sig wallet and some DAO spent all the money and bad things happened. You could imagine the chain would be able to take action against that DAO at the very least, freeze funds, I guess that would be the biggest thing, freezing funds or confiscating funds. But at least you'd have an organization of people who are really responsive. But when you operate in this sort of gray zone between on-chain and off-chain, as we do with centralized exchanges, you're basically, the only recourse you have is with national governments. So yeah, as somebody who's currently working in a DEX, I think the main result of this is that more and more people are going to come to this realization that the best thing they can do is have their money in a non-custodial exchange. Thanks.
Just wanted to ask a question there, Teddy, because I mean, the key from a user's perspective, I think the key difference between a DEX and a SEX is that with the DEX, there's little to no customer support. That's at least my assumption. I've lost money using DEXes before. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing or good thing. I just didn't manage my risk adequately enough. I thought I had, but clearly not. So could you kind of set the record straight in terms of, should you suffer some loss or something goes awry, what are the actual, what is the support you provide is there any at all? Because I feel that if we're talking about custody or going to DEXs, people should be aware of the risk, but also what options they have in terms of recouping things or getting some sort of support.
So just to clarify the question, are you referring to losses when it comes to negligence or fraud, or are you referring to losses when it comes to sort of like impermanent loss or
that's a great question. I'll give you an I'll give you an example. Yeah, that's a big bucketed question. I'll give an example. I was going between, I won't name them, one DEX to another. It didn't disconnect my wallet, and I have no idea where it happened. It's from the middle of nowhere. All of a sudden, my funds were gone, and I'm like, wow, what just happened? In that case, which DEX do you even go to? Because you just don't know. And I don't think it's the first time I heard that that's happened. I've heard other people talk about that situation as well. So I was just wondering, from a customer's perspective, if people have had this happen to them, or whether you're aware of this kind of thing happening, what are the sort of solutions that are available to yourself to even ascertain where it's gone, or to try and get that back, or I don't know, even to have someone tell you you're not going mad or something? What can one do?
It's a really good question. Right now, the entire industry of blockchain is very libertarian in the sense that everybody kind of believes in this free market approach where if you lose your keys, you lose your keys and that's it. Blockchains are thought of as these sort of like organizations of people running servers and token holders, but not really as sort of like economic political entities the way countries are in the traditional sense. But I guess there are two sides of this. One, which is a little bit more played out and everybody's heard about, is that usability needs to improve. Like it would be better if these problems didn't happen at all, but let's face it, they're going to happen. And so the second thing that I'm getting to is that we don't have to have this situation where blockchains or a specific chain, let's say you're doing a transfer between two DEXes on, that chain doesn't need to be this ultra minimal have this ultra minimal governance. Like it could theoretically have some helpful bureaucracy or support that is funded by taxes or inflation or something that would, provide people with a sense of security. If something goes wrong, there will be somebody who can help you with that. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that, especially as people realize that, or at least maybe chains realize that this is something that they can compete on. And they can say, you should use our chain because if something goes wrong, we actually have somebody who can help you.
I think that will help a lot of people feel better. And so, Teddy, I've shone a bit of light on your world. I wanted to go quickly to, how can I say it? Is it
It's
XD?
Zdeadex.
Okay, DEX. So as we know, right? So a lot of people are now considering the whole self-custody, go bankless, etc. But that also has certain risks as well. And I think that there's a certain level of knowledge that is required to be able to do so in a, let's say, sustainable way, right? Ledger's a great company I've just bought. So just declaring my interest. I've literally just bought two because I'm a little bit shocked by what's happening. I'm thinking, let me just play it safe. And I think you guys have a great name. That being said, 2 years ago, you also had a breach. So besides the learning how to use a ledger, I just want to find out what you guys have done to avoid breaches like that happening, because that matters as well, right? In terms of data privacy. So just wanted to hear what you had to say about that.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, there was like 2 or 3 years ago a little breach. It wasn't like a breach, not on the product actually, but it was like a key that was exposed online to access. But it wasn't like literally on Ledger side. It was on Shopify side. So Shopify is like the e-commerce application that we work with. So they have like the orders and all the stuff like that. And to not have like a similar same thing, we just like added like all the security that can be bring on this kind of like sensitive information. So the data are deleted every X weeks or months. I don't remember exactly the time, but they are not stored anymore in the long term. So it literally just changed the possibility of the exploit. And obviously the keys are well checked to not be again exposed, I would say. So yeah, this is like the first thing. And on the other thing, you have said. So yeah, for Ledger, our devices are like promoting like the self-custody and the freedom of people so they can manage their asset on their own. And for sure, there is like a responsibility point of view because the user is literally like the own responsible of the key. So if he lost the key, he lost the asset. And for sure, if we want to expand on the mass adoption and have billions of people like using the product and be safe with that, because it's not actually for everyone. Even myself, I'm not really very good at organizing everything. So I lost a lot of things. I did lost a few keys back in 2014 before starting to work at Ledger. So I literally know the feel to lost my own asset. And yeah, there is a few things that even Ledger are working on. So it's what we call the trust services solution, and it's not live yet. I know there is like a lot of Web3 actors in the middle that are starting to create a solution that can help storing, but not directly storing the 24 hours, but like using multiple actors and then secure your privacy for yourself. It's like kind of like what you have with the bank, but it's not like one entity, but multiple entity that that have like shared worlds. So this is like few solutions that we will, I guess, see in the next coming years, because the impact of what we did have like this year is literally realizing for people the importance of owning the asset. Now the second part is like, okay, people understand like the impact that can have any actors in the middle, that you literally, even if they're transparent, you doesn't know. There could be something, and that could be a miss, and just like everything lost. If you see actually, Binance is very transparent. People call CZ like the master chess player because he did like a perfect move with FTX for him, I would say, and for Binance. And yeah, even then, they are not like using hardware security solution. They are using like MPC stuff. So even that is not like the best security things. There was already breach on this kind of libraries. I hope it will never happen again, but we never know. So the fact is, until all these actors are using solution like we have like with Legend Price, the space is not really fully safe. And the second part is having the customers and all the customers able to have like an entity or multiple entity uh, helping them secure their account. So the seed phrase, the passphrase, or the 24 words, as we can say.
Thanks for that. Just wanted to say, if you guys have any questions that you'd like to ask, maybe don't want to come on stage, feel free to leave a comment, and we'll be monitoring that. But also for anyone who's interested, the Sam Bankman Fried interview is going to be live streamed today at 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. EST. This is the Dealbook Summit with New York Times. It's going to be interesting at the very least. So yeah, Linda, did you want to comment?
Yeah, of course. I was just gonna say that again, we are giving 30 mask, and if you have any questions, please feel free to either hashtag the question or comment it down below.
Awesome. So I just want to, since we're looking at this week in Web3, I just wanted to ask, I mean, there have been other news stories in the headlines, such as CZ's fund to effectively bail out projects. I'd be interested to know whether you think that's a good thing or bad thing for in the industry. Does that not almost create a monopoly? You know, just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Of course, there's also BlockFi, who have now declared bankruptcy, so that's solidified. There are a few other exchanges that have sort of stopped. They've literally become bankrupt. And then there's the ongoing conversations around Genesis and DCG. So I'd like to get your guys' opinions on some of these stories that are currently happening and what you think we can expect to see over the next few weeks.
I guess I can start. I'm not too familiar with this new fund, but it does bring up this sort of important counterpoint to the narrative that anytime stuff like this happens, I'm referring to FTX imploding, we should, completely interpret that as a way of sort of flushing out bad business practices and irresponsible investing and all of that. That's certainly the Austrian School of Economics way of looking at it. But on the other hand, it is good to have institutions that work and stay up. And the idea of somebody like CZ being more careful and being proactive about rainy day funds and sort of like insurance funds, to me, it seems like a very good thing and the kind of thing that crypto should move towards.
I guess my question is, will you be looking and tracking which projects they're bailing out, because they're bound to be good, right? I mean, CZ has a pretty good reputation in terms of managing risk, at least. You saw how quickly he responded with respect to the offer to buy FTX, but also how quickly he pulled out and how transparent he was with that process. So I'm just wondering if people will be sort of watching and seeing who's I'm not even sure how they'll engage, or whether they'll engage with public as they're sort of reviewing projects. But just I don't know if anyone had any more information about that yet. I know you said you didn't, but any DEXes, you said you I just saw you come off mic.
Well, yeah. Actually, I think it's great. Like the transparency part that CZ tries to solve. It's not like even a Web3 problem. It's even like on a Web2 problem. If you look at anything in your enterprise, you won't even know, like even a bank, you won't even know like literally what they are doing. Even if so sometimes if you dig a bit, okay, then you know that if you put it like in this account, they will maybe like behind the scene invest in some company and some part, and that's also generate like a little revenue for you on your account. But it's still like not really transparent. And I would say this is the problem of the Web3 actually. Is Italy, you are trusting everyone and you are just like waiting for something like kind of a return. And CZ tried to solve it by providing to Web3 the transparency that the blockchain can give actually. So this is mostly why we are here, because there is like kind of the freedom part, but actually the transparency part. So it's great, but I think there is like few limits that we need to put. It's not like because someone is not like giving like full transparency of everything, like the proof of reserve and all the stuff, that they are not like good actors, I would say. So it's great, but yeah, let's not be like a full transparency maxi and just like think about it. So yeah, if you look at, for example, a few other exchanges that went down, it's not really known, but Bitfront, for example, did shut down yesterday because of the FTX investment. There is even like a few French actors that were impacted, like Journal du Coin or Coinhouse. That did get like few of them, like with the Gemini Earn, for example, and exposed, for example, with Journal du Coin, it was with some FTX position. So yeah, I think like there is still a few more company that probably are just trying to, I don't know, trying to fix it before shutting down. But
do you not feel that there's a reaction right now where everyone's trying to almost, proof of reserves, and they've spoken about it. They've spoken about what they need for it. In fact, Nansen have actually now got a dedicated page featuring a number of DEXes, or exchanges, let's just say. And there's a lot of reserves, like there's a lot of, like, we can see the assets, but a lot of them are still yet to publish the liabilities, because without both sides you can't really see proof of reserves. My question is, does the lack of the readiness of the liabilities somehow indicate a more systemic issue? Because these things should be ongoing. It's not just because, hey, we're in a bad situation now and I want to prove my exchange is great. It should be readily available all the time. It should constantly be monitored. I mean, do you not think that that's the issue? So I just think, it's great, but it seems a little bit token unless this is something that is monitored on an ongoing basis. But also, myself as a customer, how do we really know how to use that information? What does that actually mean? How often is it going to change? What is the threshold at which it becomes a dangerous kind of ratio? So I think it's not just about exchanges publishing stuff. It's also about educating the wider audience who are going to be relying on this information to know what to look out for. Do you not think? And I don't think we're there.
yeah, that's totally true. Most of the impact is because of lack of education, and I think like all these actors and CZ is, I guess, like the greatest one. Just look at the amount of followers he have like on Twitter. So he's doing like a lot of awareness and a lot of education. But still, that's true. Like it's very hard for users to know literally what's the information and what they need to read to understand. And for that, yeah, I don't think there is like much more than so do your own research, because I don't think there will be anyway just a place to look and all the data like available at this place and explain it so you can understand, because it will literally just like kill even like the speculation game. So you will just like look at it and say, okay, so this one I'm gonna short it because yeah, obviously they are not like in a good position. So I just have to make awareness about this, and everyone will feed it and just like just sell everything from it. So I don't know. I think like if it goes like this way, it can only generate like a lot of food, like what we did have like the next few weeks, and yeah, by reaction, it's like dominoes. So everything is going down. So yeah, I guess it's hard to answer like on this one. Maybe Teddy, you have more explanation on this.
Yeah, I don't think self-regulation is going to work here. And we can't expect these exchanges to um, post all their liabilities, like their fiat liabilities, some kind of provable way, especially if they're doing nefarious stuff. I mean, like SBF was claiming that FTX was solvent until the very end. So this definitely is a place where regulation can get involved if the regulators feel like, feel like helping. But yeah, I'm a little bit more pessimistic about this idea that we can all just kind of rally around a industry standard, or that users will suddenly be dramatically more careful.
Teddy, I'd like to. Ephraim, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I think my question is more or less back to Teddy, more or less in regard to leisure and stuff like that. I think there are some more or less third party resellers like Amazon, like eBay. I don't know. They are more or less selling leisures. How authentic is their services to the masses? There are people buying leisures like the nano leisure from third party resellers. I just want Teddy to clarify how authentic is he from people buying from those kind of resellers, because we all know definitely Amazon, anybody can pull anything there for people to buy at any given time. So I don't know how authentic are those people selling leisures on those third party apps platforms.
That's a great question.
Well, I'll hand this off to DEX since he's a little bit closer to the issue at Ledger.
Can you repeat the question?
Can I summarize?
Sure.
Yeah, he's just basically asking, right? Anyone can buy a ledger or any hard storage unit device from any e-commerce platform. How do we actually know how secure those are? Because they might have been compromised. They might have. Do you know what I mean?
Oh.
People can play. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I get the question. So obviously we knew there could be like something happening with that because we are now selling. If you didn't look at in France, we have like the Boulanger, we have Darty, we have Best Buy in the US, we have like Amazon. So we have like plenty of resellers around the world. So obviously, how to check if you have like a genuine devices? It's pretty simple. When you receive it, first, if you open it and there is like 24 words already written, and obviously there is a PIN code already written, then yes, someone just like tries to grab your phone and makes you think that we prepared the key for you, and you just have like to enter the words and enter the PIN, and just like, okay, let's go. I'm gonna put fun on it. And a few seconds later, oops, you don't have anything else. So even if you have that, it's not even an issue because you can reset the devices. And when you reset the devices, you can create your account. And when you are plugging it with the Ledger Live software, which is available on our website, ledger.com, in the download part of Ledger Live, then when you're going to install it, it's going to request you to plug your devices. And at this point, there will be like a genuine check. The genuine check literally check if the secure element has been attacked. And in this case, it will tell you like, okay, the device is not genuine anymore, so don't use it. And even with that, yeah, it's pretty hard because let's say like you try to attack a secure element. What the secure element does is literally just like wipe out every information that he have. So literally, even if you have a ledger and you just like forget it like somewhere, so the guy doesn't have your PIN code, but he's gonna try like to attack the secure element to extract your private key and then your fund. Then at the time of the attack, I said the secure element gonna wipe out everything, and when the attackers are gonna be inside, you're gonna just like see nothing. So you don't have like any problem with that.
Okay. Okay. I think
So
my
my
second
just
question, I think I have more or less a second question, which boils down to, I think, collecting IP. Does Ledger collect IP information from its client, its users or something? Yeah.
We don't collect IPs. We don't use Infra stuff. We have our own infrastructure for everything. So, for example, in the Ledger Live, when you retrieve like any blockchain, anything like that, it's literally not something that provides IPs. So, no, we don't collect them and we don't share them.
just to jump in, does Ledger have any official position on MetaMask collecting IP addresses?
We don't have like any specific opinion, like I would say like public opinion. If there is any, it will be posted like on our Ledger account in Twitter. So as far as I know, there is nothing posted, so there is no public position.
Ted, are you
Got it.
referring to the latest news about MetaMask collecting IP addresses
I am.
or sharing?
Yes. Well, since I don't work for Ledger, I can talk all about that personally, not as an engineer at Duality, but that's really bad, especially if you believe that anonymity is a key feature of blockchain. Giving away your IP address is like giving away your home address, pretty much. And yeah, your anonymity is shot if you're not behind a VPN. So I think the whole industry is sort of still recovering, or I don't know, figuring out what to do next based on that. I still have MetaMask installed because I've been lazy and haven't figured out how to get off of it yet, but I'm certainly going to get off of it eventually.
Teddy, I just want to, because we're coming up to time, so I just want to squeeze in a few more questions, just a few. You mentioned about self-regulation or that not working, or, and you talked about regulation. And I'm just trying to understand what people actually expect when we talk about regulation. I mean, there's always regulation. It's just whether people want to actually put in place the controls that is going to make sure that the regulation is adhered to, right? And the other thing is regulation is like minimum standard. In fact, you don't want the standard to be that high because it becomes very expensive and prohibitive for people to engage, right? So shouldn't we be looking at things like culture, leadership? And I know that's soft, but we do, because the culture of Web3 is a bit rogue. Let's face it. You have rug pulls on a daily. I mean, it's not the first time we've heard of them. So I'm always wondering whether regulation in of itself, by itself, is going to handle everything, or whether we should be looking at a kind of, let's call it a mixture of different things around culture, ethics, standards. I just wanted to get your take on that.
Yeah, it's a really good question. My response would be based on trying to differentiate between who has the power to effectively regulate and who has the inclination to effectively regulate. And that's where we get into trouble. Right now, it doesn't seem like fiat governments are too inclined to actually effectively regulate, but they certainly have the power to. Whereas there's not much like these blockchains and these organizations of people and token holders and miners and the whole ecosystem can do when somebody makes off with customers' money because they control all of their private keys. So, it's kind of a catch-22 there. And I certainly agree that it's going to end up being some mixture of self-regulation and fiat regulation. But yeah, in terms of what will actually work, I think there's really no replacement for convincing fiat governments to do something, because that's where the underlying that's where all the money goes. It's all in fiat, and it's outside of crypto when the money gets stolen.
Yep. Agreed. I think there was a question about whether we see a day where we can have Web3 without needing to connect a wallet. And I think that's also something that some people are working on already. So, well, I don't know if it's necessarily anonymous, but because they're trying to use your existing sort of social media account to connect to Web3 apps. I've heard of that, but we all know that the user experience is not that great. Do you see how, or can you shed some light on how you think we can improve this? And will wallets always be that gateway into this space?
My take on this is that it's actually a very difficult problem to move away from private key based identity, because without that approach, you resort to the sort of standard mechanism where you can recover your account, and you recover your account, initially maybe on the basis of your email address or your answer to secret questions, or eventually, like, you try to recover your account on Coinbase and you'll have to scan your passport. And so that brings us all the way back to fiat, right? Like, this passport is a externally issued identity document. I think the only way to get away from both private keys and fiat issued identity documents is to have a concept of identity on chain. And you saw a little bit of this, and things kind of people working on this when it comes to WorldCoin, which was this initiative where they would sort of try to do an iris scan and somehow have that on chain without compromising your identity, and make it possible for you to have some kind of like thing that you have to prove that you are who you say you are on chain. I definitely think that's the way forward. There are definitely privacy concerns, and there are problems with rollout. Like, you actually need people to be able to physically show up somewhere and prove they are who they say they are, and that might get dicey as well, especially if crypto continues to go the direction it's going, which is operating quite independently of nation states. So you have to be in like a friendly nation state that allows this kind of thing. But yeah, that's, I think, long term the way it's going to go. And I certainly think this issue will be solved, but it'll end up being solved in a way that resembles what we have in traditional government services.
Cool. Well, I know we're coming up to time. I just want to thank everyone who listened. Thank you, Zdeadex and Teddy, for being here. Ephraim, great questions. Linda, I'm just going to hand over to you to close out.
Yeah, of course. I wanted to thank you guys as well. I wanted to ask one last question before we all head out. And my question would be, I guess, what do you see for the future of Web3, and how should people protect themselves? I'll start with my answer. I think I'm definitely still bullish. I think, we've heard this many times, but we are weeding out the bad actors, and we've probably we're probably shying away from retail investors and generalist VCs. But I think one thing that someone said that stood out to me, is, when you're in a space where there's innovation and there's money to be made, people always come back. So I guess Shelley and Teddy and
Yeah, I
Adrian.
love that. I think last time I checked, we're just about 5%, just below. I think we've probably drained out the pond, as someone would say. I do feel that we're innovating, and I think that there are a lot of builders. Like, I see a lot of builders, thousands, building great products every day. And I feel that if we remain or believe in the core technology, the good it can do, the utility it can provide to the world, just in terms of all the tenets of blockchain, right? Decentralization, trustless systems, permissionless, and everything. I think that ultimately we'll be building better products that will entice the world back. So I'm still very bullish, and I would say, for those who are willing to participate and participate safely, just educate yourself as much as possible, connect with others that can help keep you abreast of things, do all the right things in terms of where you're unsure, move your stuff from one place to another, or self-custody when you can and if you know how. So that's what I like to say. Thank you. Teddy?
Yeah, I'm super bullish. I think every world-changing technology goes through several hype cycles and market cycles, and blockchain is no different. And so I'm very optimistic that we have a very strong bull market ahead of us. And then I guess on the personal note, I think that one of the most important things when you're in a space like this where there are these ups and downs is just managing your level of optimism and enthusiasm around the core technology. And so the more you can stay connected to the concrete, which is, that distributed ledger technology is really quite amazing. And it's new stuff that's definitely going to create new markets and opportunities. You can sort of weed out any cynicism, even in the depths of a bear market. So yeah, I couldn't be more optimistic about the future of blockchain, even despite all of this.
So I guess I am the last one. So yeah, I'm still very optimistic too. There is like a lot of new things that are gonna be built and already starting to be built. So if you look at and when I look because it's like a uh, long subject, so I cannot just like explain everything. But look at icon abstraction, for example. Look at some signature like Prime 256, if I'm not mistaken, that gonna help to provide signature with mobile phone with a secure element. So at this time, I think like everything is still like at the beginning. And once we will have everything like on our phone securely using like ledger security, we'll say maybe. Uh, yeah, at the end we have like plenty of new stuff coming, and for sure the industry is not gone. It's only prices, and we already know it. For people that are here since long time, it's like the third time I would say it really happened. So something common, but for new one, don't be scared. People are still building. We are even more than before. So it's just a matter of time and innovation and technology. So it takes time, and we are still focused on building.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. For everyone that joined that asked a question, I will reach out to you for your wallet address if you won the prize. We host this weekly, sometimes bi-weekly. We'll post when we'll host this again next week. I'm not sure it'll be on another Wednesday, But really appreciate you guys, for Teddy and Zdeadex, for coming and joining. Yeah, I hope you guys have a good day. Thank you.
All right.
Have
Thank
a
you.
good
Bye
day.
bye.
Thanks.
Thanks, Linda.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.